I did just successfully teach for an hour without the computer dying. So let's see if I can do it again.
Well, worst case, if somebody has to take over, it's not the end of the world.
I know, but then I'm not doing my job. Or it's payback for the last like 10 years. I don't know which.
Either way.
All right. Are we all back? Everybody here? Gonna play with some bar charts. Yay. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate the enthusiasm. All right. So, wow, I have a lot of tabs. Let's see. All the tabs, all the time. Yeah, that even looks like it's all just for this group. Excellent. I almost clicked leave meeting. How do we download this CVS from this stupid CSV from this stupid GitHub site? What CSV are you trying to do? The one that's under the bar chart lesson?
Yeah, the Nights Out one right there, which incidentally is called World Night Out. But anyway, yeah, you click on it, you get that mess. And where's the button that says download?
I believe you click raw.
Where's raw?
And then it should be possible to right click on this on the background here and save as. Yeah, if you thought it was inconvenient downloading our stuff off the Quorum website, don't you worry. We have even more inconvenient places to get data from.
So I will, since we have proven that that does actually work, I will re-walk through that real fast. Okay, so I'm on the bar charts lesson on the whatever this year's Quorum track is, right? Everybody understand that? And underneath creating a bar chart using Quorum Studio, we have a link for Nights Out dataset. If you go on that link, there's another button that says raw that is right above the lovely massive spreadsheet of information. Raw then takes you to what looks like a CSV. If I right click on it, or apparently do Control S, I can save as, and it will let me download it as a CSV file. Does that make sense to everyone?
Just a note, since I'm not using Chrome, my right click option was a little bit different. I had to save page as, and then edit the name to have the .csv at the end, but it did work.
Oh, well, good to know.
And
thank you.
This is lesson 5 bar charts.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Question mark. Yes. I am actually going to be showing the lesson using the online IDE because my computer, I just don't trust my computer today to not kick me out and explode. Is that okay with everyone? We all know the code ends up being the same either way, either place we stick it, right? At least in theory. We're going to check that right now. William's like crossing his fingers and toes over there that everything works the same in both places. Okay. So for our experimenting with our bar charts, we do have a lovely file to use that is talking about different ways to go out at night in different countries. All right, party time. So we have 3 columns: country, item, cost, a couple others. All right. Where's the thing that I want? That one. Great. That is, nope. Yep. Great. So I have now gone to the tutorial for bar charts, because that's going to show us our code to use. And just like we talked about a little bit earlier, to start your file, we're going to need our data frame. We're going to need another library as well. And if you're using Quorum Studio, you know, we can cheat and do Alt Enter and it'll give us the libraries. If you're using the online ID, we still get to cheat because it's down below already in there for us. But the libraries are libraries.compute.statistics.dataframe and libraries.interface.controls.charts.barcharts. Those are the two libraries we're going to need for this lesson. Derek is making a what hand gesture? No?
it's
Okay.
It's not you. Quorum just crashed on me, and so I'm trying to reopen.
Again, in theory, everything works. All right. We're going to make a data frame, name frame. We're all understanding these steps still, right? These we've got pretty good. Going to load our particular file. Remember the handy dandy trick William told us, make sure you have the right file directories used, right? So if you've just dumped it into Quorum's project folder and not a data folder inside that, you don't need anything in front of the name of the file, correct? I assume we're rehashing what we remember from the lesson 2 lessons ago. Great. Now we're going to select specific factors and columns for our chart, because we don't want just that whole giant, I mean, goodness, we don't look, this file is disgusting. So many columns, so many things we don't care about. So we're going to, on our frame, right? We're gonna frame colon add selected factors. And then in the parenthesis set, we're going to have country. So open quote, capital C country, close quote, close parenthesis. Why do we care that it's capitalized? Who thinks they
So it matches.
Right, it has to match however it was written in the file. And in the file, our headers are capitalized, right? We're also going to add the factor of item. And then add selected columns of cost. So that is just kind of setting up what the frame is doing, right? What our frames need. And now we are also going to create our bar chart item or object, sorry. I feel like I'm going really fast. Are we good? Am I going too fast? We're good? Okay. So to create an object, we start with, as I always tell the students, the last part of the library is the first part of your object, like 99% of the time. So bar chart, the capital B and a capital C. And then we give it a name, so space chart. And now we're going to assign our chart the frame that we've made, right? So frame colon bar chart, open close parenthesis. Is that concept make sense to everyone? We've created our object. We're assigning it the value of the frame that we've already created. And this time we are going to display our chart by simply saying chart : display, open close parenthesis. We had been writing, like to text, right? And then that would spit out the CSV. This time it's going to give us a chart. And I get to cheat. All of that is typed in for me. I'm going to hit run. Oops. Oh, okay, that was just directions. And I have the world's tiniest bar chart on the right-hand side because screens and computers. The downside of using the online IDE. Let's see something here. Right, why do you hate me? Don't hate me. Love me. There we go. Whoa, there we go. That's better. Whoa, that's too much. I got too excited. And my computer was too slow. One moment. There we go. So our chart at the moment, you've got a chart. We've got cost along the y-axis. We've got country along the z-axis. We've got all of our countries and our activities. And our items are labeled to the right. And chart title is just chart title. This is a very useful chart right now. Super useful. All the information we need, right? Come on, y'all are boring today. Wake up.
No, it is not.
Thank you. Gonna make William play along here if nobody else is going to. Yes, Mike.
So I noticed that on your chart, it has the x-axis vertically. Mine, it's horizontally, and the letters are all smashed up and they're hard to read. Is that a setting we can adjust, or?
William?
Sorry, you said that your axes are flipped and your
So like in the chart that Amanda has up there right now, the country names are all vertical. Do you see that?
Oh, like the way they're literally written?
Gotcha.
Yeah, underneath the bars, they're vertically written up and down, right? On mine, they're not like that. They're just written horizontally, and they smash into each other, like they overlap, and it's kind of ugly and
Gotcha.
hard to read.
It should automatically set them to be vertical like that as a default setting when the size gets to a point where that is useful. I believe there's a way to manually do it as well, although I would have to check what that is. Hannah might remember off.
So Mike, are you just running you're running it in studio, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, me too. And so I had the exact same issue, and because it goes full screen, it does that. So we're going to put in 1,000 and 1,000 and see if it'll work.
Okay.
Hannah, do you remember the command that you do for that? I think there is one, isn't there?
Yeah,
There
go
is,
1,000, it turns.
Locate X labels. I can look real quick.
If you go 1,000, it'll turn them.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, interrupting.
No, but need to know how to fix it, right? Depends on how you're using it.
Yeah, and obviously we'd love to know if there's rough edges you encounter that we can continue to improve on. So
That is the fun of EPIQ. We are the happy little beta testers. It's great. Okay, so everybody got our basic chart up. All intents and purposes, it works all right. I'm sorry I don't have a decent screen reader. I can't play with the accessibility, so I should have waited to turn in my tech to Mike until after EPIQ, but I cannot believe I'm saying the school computer is something I needed, Mike.
It has resources.
It does.
What are you on, Amanda? Mac or PC?
I'm on a PC.
You
Oh,
could grab
I-
NVDA or something.
NVDA works fine.
My computer will not let me run NVDA and Zoom and this all at the same time. Like,
gotcha.
it's just not. My poor little baby has 8 gigs. It's fine. It needs a nap.
It's all good. I mean, we can show screen reader stuff in a number of sessions, so I don't think it's a
Yeah.
huge.
I was just putting it out there for everyone that's why I'm not playing with that feature. It's just because I physically cannot right now. So holler at me if you are a screen reader user and something weird happens so that we can help you figure out what's going on. All right. So yes, our very, very useful chart at this point, right? I mean, this is kind of what kids tend to turn into me when I ask them for bar charts, with pretty generic labels and no titles. And yep, that's about right. Not the best. So let's show some next steps, right? How can we add to our chart to make it a little more functional? We can add labels. So we have the very complicated actions of set title that then has the title that you would like, and set x-axis title and set y-axis title. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down to where they do this. The example is how expensive are nights out per country. So we have chart : set title, and then that title is inside the parentheses in quotation marks, of course, because it is text. We can also have a subtitle. So we're going to set a subtitle of chart : set subtitle. Various nightly activities cost in different. I don't like the way that's worded. I would not use that title. That's fine. Various nightly activities cost in different countries. And now we can be more descriptive with our X and Y axis titles. We have the X axis is pretty much the same. We're calling it countries instead of country. And the Y axis, we are going to add that it's in USD dollars. That idea and using those actions make sense to everybody. And do we all know where we would add those in our code? Let's check that out. Where does that go? Well, that can go right underneath where you have made your bar chart, right? Add it all right underneath the bar chart. Hit run. I should get a nicer picture. I have more useful labels now, right? Countries or cost in USD, countries, I have a title, I have a subtitle. I now have a more or less functional chart, right? Any issues with those steps? I know we had a couple of people who were newer to programming, so I don't want to make assumptions on speed or typing or anything like that either. So please holler at me. And this is where having your students, you know, like was talked about yesterday, having your students or having you all have picked your own data set makes it a little more interesting. I don't know how many students are going to care about the cost of a night out in other countries. They may or may not. I don't know. You know, those kinds of things. Or if you've collected information yourself. I could see this being a lot of fun. In one of the math classes, we would collect data for a month and then represent it as different charts each month. So that kind of activity might be more interesting for students. And this is the part I was playing with. So much fun. You can set the color palette. Made me very happy. And there are, is the link on this one? Was it somewhere else? There's a link that I'm going to throw into chat because it was very helpful. I don't remember which bit. There we go. There's my chat. So this link will take you to the different preset color palettes for a chart, as well as showing how to set your own color palettes. I had way too much fun earlier changing colors. So you simply do that by, again, it's just an action on the chart, right? So it's chart : and if you're in Quorum Studio and you start typing set color palette, you're going to get that whole list in that code completion, right? So you can play with colors. You can also change where on the chart your legend is, and you can set a legend title. So set legend location, which can be left, right, top, or bottom. And then you can also give it a title, which is always nice, so you know what your legend is talking about, right? All those good things. Those, again, just go right under everything else you've set up. This isn't. There's also a line in my little sample code here that's not anywhere else in the lesson, but you can set the y-axis maximum. So, you know, if your chart auto sets to pretty high or pretty low and you want it to scale it up or down, that is also an action. You can set minimum or maximum. If you want to, you know, tweak your charts and make them fake news, which of course is fun to show students, right? Don't make faces at me, William. It's fun. We change all these things to our chart. And now my chart actually looks, I mean, I can read it. It's a little more functional. I'm actually going to lower that y-axis a little more because 300 is still bigger than it really needs. So I'm going to.
I'm trying to figure out why dinner in the United States costs almost $250. What are these people doing? Because that doesn't happen in my world.
Right.
This has the same issue that we saw in the maximum weights, where it's combining values if it has two of the same thing. So you might run into something like that with the factors. If there's multiple rows in your data set and you're using the same factors that match in that one column, it'll add them up in a bar chart at least.
Thank you.
Also, for this chart, I know you were trying to adjust the colors. Because of the resolution it's currently rendering at, it's rendering everything with the border color on the bars. If you do chart and you do : set border thickness, you set that down to 0, you should get your colors back.
Ooh. Look at all the fun things you can do, guys. Set border.
Yep, set border thickness.
You're expecting me to be able to spell. And 0.
I don't think there's an A in the border.
I want a different kind of border, okay?
I keep
Setting-
thinking in my head hoarder, but
We're setting how large the men boarding this chart are.
Mm,
that didn't seem to do
that
it.
did not.
Hmm.
I was also playing with it on my Quorum Studio earlier and got fun colors that way. But whoop, what are you
For the
doing?
bar
Stop it.
chart, there's a specific one that you made, William, that's set bar border.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. It is bar border thickness. It helps if I
Well.
remember the right things. Hannah's thankfully here to set us right.
Good job, Hannah.
Hannah has been very involved in the charts. This is kind of her baby in a lot of ways.
Hey, now I got pretty colors. Look at
There we
that.
go.
I've got purples and blues and greens that actually show up. It's not all black.
You should do magma. It's awesome.
Is it? Is it
It
just
just makes me-
magma?
It just makes me happy. Under the instead of put delete category colorgorical and type in capital magma. Magma.
Oops. Or I could hit enter instead of.
Dr. Evil in here making our charts for us.
He literally sent me a doctor, a doctor, what is his name?
Dr.
Oh.
Evil.
Dr. Evil.
I
Hey,
like
I didn't go to
magma.
evil school for 8 years to be called Mister.
That's right. Now,
I
it is
do.
funny with these colors. One thing you do have to be a little bit wary of is that although we pulled a lot of these colors from the literature, you'll notice that with magma, there's a yellow bar, and although you can
That's
get to it with the screen,
Awful.
yeah, it's
Yep.
definitely not WCAG compliant unless you have the border around it. But that's tough when the resolution's low. So there is some thinking you have to do when you make these, but
I
you know.
forgot what it is. Set.
Yeah, it's better when you it's a little. It does have a border
Grayscale.
around it when you run it in studio.
Yeah,
So and it's a little bit better just because I think of the pure size of it.
yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Expect that the resolution issues online are going to be something that we're tackling too before too long, just because obviously the higher resolution is, the easier it is to see this stuff.
I just added set to grayscale because I just want to see what it does.
So set to grayscale, actually, you're supposed to say set current color palette to grayscale because it, or set current palette, it actually just applies a grayscale filter to whatever palette you're using.
Yeah, I just didn't read the action correctly. I just wanted to see what it did to magma. Yeah,
Oh, that's
There you
cool.
go. that's not bad.
Wait, so what was the difference, Hannah? I actually don't know that either. What was the?
I guess we could change it, but it doesn't make its own color palette. It applies a filter. So I put set current.
Oh,
Mhm.
So
no, that
whatever
makes
palette
total
you're
sense.
using will, yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
What else do I want to play with? Playful. We're gonna see what playful looks like.
So, it's interesting for screen reader users, it might not seem like these colors, make much of a difference, but the truth of the matter is, the point is that you actually get to control a bunch of stuff aesthetically, even as a screen reader user, you
Oh,
can access it completely.
Playful is
Yeah.
awful.
It really is, right?
Playful is awful.
And you can blame the color academics for that one.
If
Mhm.
you knew how long and how much energy we have taken in talking about stupid colors, you would be amazed at how long we have been talking. And it's still not really there. It's bad.
You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand, the literature doesn't necessarily say that playful is a good palette to make nice,
Right.
easy to understand charts, rather that those are the colors that people associate with the term playfulness.
Playful.
So there's
Exactly
probably
right.
some data set where it's appropriate, but
Kindergartner, showing it to kindergartners? I
Yeah,
don't
when
know.
you've got very simple bar graphs that you're showing to young children, then yeah, that would probably. But again, putting pink besides red beside orange is horrible for low vision students. So
Yeah, I think that the evidence seems to that categorical one is the default for good reason, right?
Mhm.
But even that, like, it's not, it's not magic. There's going to be people with different needs, and so that's why you can adjust them. So
And I was, as someone who was trying to teach color theory to totally blind students last year, having things that are already matched and already there for someone who can't see it or doesn't necessarily care as much about if other people can see it, it's just nice to have.
yeah,
I Playful is one of my students would happily use just to drive me nuts when trying to look at their work. So, which, they have the right to be normal teenagers as well, giving them that tool.
we aim to please.
And we already talked about display, which is kind of silly that it's there. But so those are the basics of playing and some of the not so basics, right? We learned our bar border can be changed to different thicknesses. Is it a 0 to 1? What is it? What's the scale for this? Because I want to make something hideous.
It's how many pixels you want it across, which is part of why it has issues with the low resolution, or it doesn't normally. So
Okay, so I'm gonna be awful. We're gonna see what 20 does to my bar chart here. Oh nope, I thought I was gonna get like blue screen to death. All black again. Yep, excellent. Oops. What one? Is one pretty? Oh, one's too thick. Yeah, okay.
It's because of the resolution. If she
Yeah.
changes the display parameter, does that change it? I can't
no,
remember.
that was something that we went back and forth about, but there's just an underlying issue with how it calculates the resolution on the website, where depending on how you accessed it, the website thinks that you're running at a certain resolution, and then it doesn't. That's part of why the text is a little fuzzy there as well.
That's right. That's right.
And again, I was just playing to see what would happen, which is my favorite. I don't know. That's how I've learned 90% of what I know, is by playing to see what would happen. Then
Yeah.
backing up and hoping it didn't kill anything.
That's
Oh.
how programming is.
So that was.
Of course, most of the things we're playing with right now are really just for people with vision, and people with low vision, they wouldn't care a lot about this stuff. It doesn't provide them any real information. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
again,
put
having
5 in there. When you run it on Studio, you put 5 in there. It's getting pretty thick.
Yeah, it does.
And it's the thickness around the bar. So I mean,
Mhm.
if I were to put 10 in there and run it, yeah, it just turns black. So,
Yep.
so there is definitely a maximum here. I'm gonna keep playing with it until I figure out what it is. I bet it's gonna be around 7. 7 looks like your maximum. At that point, it's just really, really ugly. Can you do decimals?
do part of a
I
pixel.
think the answer is no, because I think it's raw pixels.
You
but-
actually can, although at the end of the day, when it has to figure out how you calculate it, it will still have to figure out how to map it onto the pixels. So depending on where it's located and what the fraction is, you might end up yeah, I know it's a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo. You can use decimals. It won't give you as clean a result as using raw integers because they're pixels.
Interesting.
Yeah, 2 is nice. Like 1 is almost too thin. You get into like 2, it's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I expect in the long term, what is probably going to be useful is, rather than it's just always at 1 pixel, it's probably going to be something in the future where it's like, 10% of the thickness or something, where it's like it scales up and down with how large the bars are. So when you have a really low resolution, there just won't be any borders, because otherwise it's just black. But that's something that we're still iterating on some of the visuals of parts of the system. So
I'm still trying to figure out what a long drink is, because apparently 2 of them cost a lot of money. I don't know what a long drink is.
Understanding your data set is also important.
Yeah. But I do think I understand what Big Mac is, though. I think I got that one.
Good. I'm glad. All right.
Can-
Do we have other questions about our bar charts, folks?
Can you share the code?
Which code?
All of it?
Sure. You mean to Slack?
Yes.
Yeah. I can find it and do that.
I'm missing a dot somewhere.
Uh-huh.
I've been there.
All right. I'm gonna stop sharing just so
Or
my
colon or
computer.
something.
Yeah, a colon, a dot, a something.
Yeah.
Mhm. Stop sharing just so my computer did not freak out while I do this. There you
Thank
go.
you.
You are very welcome.
All right, well, I think that's probably, is that the end
Mhm,
for this one? Okay, well,
mhm.
the next thing is actually the office hours. So William and I will stick around, or anybody else on our team that wants to certainly can. But I know that Hannah and Tim and Gabe and others might have other stuff going on too, but I know I'll be around at least for the next hour. So anybody that wants help on extra stuff or anything like that is more than welcome. But that is, thank Amanda and William for their sessions today for sure. So,
And thank you, Andy, for
oh yeah, I guess I did want
covering the first one because my computer decided to just
to have a heart attack. Yeah,
have a
exactly.
heart attack. It did not have a heart attack while I was teaching my other kids though, so we're good. We're good.
That's good. That's good. So, all right. And then tomorrow we are going to jump into a couple new things. Number one is just telling you the same information over and over again for charts wouldn't be very interesting. So we're going to jump into some statistics concepts. So tomorrow that's going to include some information on descriptive statistics. So we're going to talk a little bit about MathJax, which is how you do equations accessibly. And we're going to talk about histograms, but in the context of statistics concepts, so especially skew and kurtosis. And then we're going to move to pie charts, but also we're going to show you some more advanced features that I think Hannah wrote these on stacking bar charts. But also there's some academic research and literature on what the difference is and how that impacts people with disabilities, specifically around autism, which is interesting. I actually didn't know this. This is relatively recent literature. And then finally, we're going to be talking about data filtering, which is kind of weird, but it's a way. The reason we talk about this stuff is because you can totally go through a spreadsheet and just manually filter whatever you want. But the catch is that oftentimes in data science, we write scripts to do this. And the reason we do that is because if we can automate all the filtering, then it makes it consistent. So another scholar or another person can get the exact same answer that we do when we do our data analysis. So we're going to talk about filtering. And then finally, tomorrow, we're going to be doing our annual EPIQ steering committee meeting. There's you can run for positions if you'd like to, but also too, like if you want the conference to change in future years, then that's where you talk about what you want to change. And so, and because like the steering committee will do whatever people want people to do, want us to do. So in any case, so that is all for today. So I'm going to stop the recording on my end and then